Two brothers, same house, same parents, the same spaghetti every Tuesday, the same bedtime, the same two people's genes shuffled together into two kids. Daniel is 6'4". His brother Sam is 5'7". There's a photo stuck to their fridge where Daniel is resting his elbow on top of Sam's head, using it like an armrest. And here's the part that quietly breaks people's brains. Sam is the older one. Same kitchen, same gene pool, two completely different ceilings. And you've seen this. Maybe you are this. The family where one kid shot up like a beanstalk and the other one just sort of didn't. And nobody ever really explains why. So let's actually do it. Why are some people tall and others short? Because the answer everyone gives, it's genetics, is true. It's just the most misleading true thing you will ever hear. Here's what people picture when they say it's genetics. They imagine there's a height gene, a little switch somewhere in your DNA labeled tall or short, handed down from your parents like an heirloom. Wrong. There is no height gene. There are about 10,000 of them. Scientists went hunting for the DNA behind height. It's one of the most studied traits in all of human biology because it's easy to measure and it obviously runs in families. They expected a handful of powerful genes. Instead, they found a swarm. Over 12,000 tiny genetic variants, each one nudging you a fraction of a millimeter taller or shorter, like 10,000 strangers each throwing a single grain of sand onto a scale. So your height isn't inherited like eye color. It's inherited like a personality, 1,000 small influences blending into one outcome. And those genes are powerful. If you line up a population, around 80% of the height differences between people trace back to DNA. 80%. Sounds like case closed, right? Genes win. Everybody go home. But here's the trap, and almost everyone falls into it. 80% heritable does not mean 80% locked in. Heritability only describes the differences inside one group living in one environment. It says nothing about what happens when you change that environment. And when you change the environment, things get weird. Quick detour, stay with me. If you ever visit a museum with real suits of armor, you might notice something unsettling. They're tiny. Old doorways, antique beds, World War I uniforms, all built for people who, by today's standards, were noticeably small. In just over a century, the average human got dramatically taller. Not because our genes changed. 100 years is nothing in evolutionary time. We got taller because we got fed. Better nutrition, clean water, vaccines, antibiotics, a childhood that isn't a constant fight against illness draining the body's resources. Give a kid enough protein and enough peace, and the body finally cashes in genetic potential it otherwise couldn't afford. And nobody shows this off better than the Dutch. Hold that thought, we're coming back to the Dutch. So how does the growing actually happen? Because it's not magic, it's plumbing. Near the ends of your long bones, in your legs, your arms, there are stripes of soft cartilage called growth plates. Think of them as little factories. All through childhood, they keep laying down fresh bone, slowly pushing the ends of your skeleton further apart. That's you getting taller in real time. What runs the factory? Hormones. Growth hormone, released mostly while you're in deep sleep, which is why you'll grow if you sleep, is one of the very few things your mom told you that was scientifically airtight. Then puberty hits, sex hormones flood the system, and you get one final enormous growth spurt. And then the factory closes. The growth plates harden into solid bone. The marks on the doorframe stop climbing. Usually by your late teens, the book is shut. Whatever height you are then, you basically are forever. Now here's the experiment that proves food beats fate. Take the Maya people of Guatemala. For generations, Maya communities there were among the shortest populations on Earth, and everyone just assumed, well, that's their genes. Then families emigrated to the United States. Same genes, same ancestry. But the kids, raised on American nutrition and healthcare, grew up several inches taller than the relatives they'd left behind. Same DNA, different country, different bodies. The genes set the ceiling, but the environment decides how close you ever get to it. And for most of human history, almost nobody got close. Okay, the Dutch, as promised. 150 years ago, the Dutch were among the shortest people in Europe. Today, they're the tallest people on the entire planet. The average Dutch man is over 6 feet. What happened? Partly the obvious stuff. One of the world's best healthcare systems and a national diet practically drowning in milk and cheese. But there's a stranger theory too. Some researchers think tall Dutch men, generation after generation, simply ended up having more children, that the country's own dating preferences quietly nudged the whole population upward. Evolution, in fast forward, possibly driven by who people found attractive. Make of that what you will. And we do care, desperately. We pay attention to height in ways we barely admit to. Taller people earn more on average. A weirdly large share of CEOs and presidents land well above the average. We literally look look up to people. The metaphor is baked right into the language. It's mostly nonsense, of course. Your height has nothing to do with whether you're kind or funny or great at the one thing you happen to be great at, but some old animal corner of the brain still quietly reads big as safe and tall as in charge. But here's where I'd flip the whole thing around. Go back to those pencil marks on the door frame, the ones from when you were a kid. We think of height as a number, a flat little fact about you, but it's not really a fact, it's a story. Your final height is a kind of fossil record of your entire childhood. Every illness you fought off, every winter you were warm, every night you actually slept, every meal that showed up on time, all of it, quietly written into the length of your bones. So when you look at how tall someone is, you're not just seeing their genes, you're seeing the country they grew up in, the century they were born into, whether the world in those first crucial years was kind to them or not. So Daniel being 6'4" and Sam being 5'7", that's not really a story about two brothers and some lucky DNA. It's a story about how much of who we became was decided before we had any say in it at all, by bodies we didn't design, in a world we didn't choose, during years we can't even remember. And the strangest part? We spend the rest of our lives standing on top of all of it and calling it simply how tall I am. Mind the doorframe on your way out.